What happens after one film reshapes imagination itself? When Star Wars exploded, the galaxy filled fast with imitators, rebels, and risk-takers chasing that same spark. Some collapsed under the weight, others vanished quietly. But a few found something unexpected along the way. Familiar shapes, strange ideas, and stories that refuse to disappear. You might think you know them. Think again. Number 15. Ice Pirates, 1984. Ice Pirates arrived when space adventures were everywhere, and audiences thought they had seen it all. On the surface, it looked like another playful copy chasing Star Wars success. But underneath the humor and wild costumes, this film was quietly poking fun at the entire genre. The story follows a group of roguish space travelers who steal frozen water from powerful empires in a future where water is more valuable than gold. That simple idea instantly sets it apart. Instead of destiny and ancient powers, Ice Pirates focuses on survival, greed, and absurd consequences. The universe feels lived in, messy, and strangely honest. Behind the scenes, the production faced constant budget limits. Sets were reused, effects were improvised, yet that roughness became part of the charm. The filmmakers leaned into comedy, using exaggeration to expose how serious space epics had become. Even the heroes feel flawed, selfish, and very human. When it premiered, critics did not know what to do with it. Some expected epic drama and got satire instead. Others dismissed it as silly. But over time, audiences began to appreciate its fearless tone. It was not trying to replace Star Wars. It was laughing with it. Ice Pirates matters because it proves imitation does not always mean worship. Sometimes it means questioning the rules. It is messy, playful, and unafraid to look strange. And that is exactly why it still deserves attention. Number 14. Buck Rogers. In the 25th century, 1979. Buck Rogers did not come from Star Wars. Star Wars came from Buck Rogers. But when this revival hit theaters, it was impossible to ignore the influence flowing back the other way. The story follows a modern pilot who wakes up centuries in the future, suddenly becoming a hero in a colorful interstellar conflict. The tone is lighter than Star Wars, almost cheerful, with a sense of optimism that feels very late 70s. The future here is clean, stylish, and playful rather than gritty. The film was designed as a gateway into a television series, which shaped its pacing and structure. Instead of one massive journey, it feels like an opening chapter to a much larger world. That worked in its favor. Audiences were invited to relax into the universe rather than race through it. Production values were solid for the time, especially the sleek ship designs and costumes that leaned heavily into disco-era futurism. Critics were mixed, calling it too safe or too cheerful, but viewers responded to its warmth and accessibility. Over the years, Buck Rogers earned a loyal following. It offered a version of space adventure where curiosity mattered more than conflict. It reminded audiences that science fiction could be fun without being heavy. In the shadow of Star Wars, Buck Rogers chose charm over intensity, and sometimes that choice is exactly what keeps a story alive. Number 13. Battle Beyond the Sun, 1959. Long before Star Wars existed, Battle Beyond the Sun quietly laid groundwork that would later feel strangely familiar. This film began as a serious Soviet science fiction story about competing space programs. But its American release turned it into something entirely different. Roger Corman acquired the footage and hired a young filmmaker named Francis Ford Coppola to reshape it. New scenes were added. Strange creatures appeared. The tone shifted from political drama to cosmic spectacle. The result was uneven, but fascinating. The story focuses on rival missions racing toward Mars, each claiming moral superiority. The visuals are simple, almost theatrical, yet packed with imagination. You can feel filmmakers experimenting, learning how space stories might work on screen. Audiences at the time were confused. Critics were unsure how to categorize it. But future creators noticed. The film became a quiet classroom for low-budget science fiction, showing how editing and sound could transform meaning. Looking back, Battle Beyond the Sun feels like a prototype. Not polished, not smooth, but brave. It reminds us that space cinema did not begin fully formed. It evolved through trial and error. It may not be a direct Star Wars imitator, but it helped shape the language that Star Wars would later speak fluently. Number 12, The Humanoid, 1979. The Humanoid is one of the clearest examples of European cinema responding directly to Star Wars energy. Made in Italy during the height of space adventure fever, it wears its inspiration openly and proudly. The story follows a gentle giant manipulated by powerful forces on a distant planet, while a group of heroes attempt to restore balance. Psychic abilities, masked figures, glowing powers, and futuristic cities all collide in a whirlwind of ideas. Behind the scenes, the production struggled constantly. Budgets shifted, scripts changed, costumes were heavy and uncomfortable, yet the filmmakers pushed forward with remarkable determination. Italian landscapes doubled as alien worlds, giving the film a unique texture that set it apart from Hollywood productions. When released, critics were harsh. They saw imitation where fans saw passion. Over time, restored versions revealed how much care went into the visuals and music. What once seemed cheap began to feel sincere. The Humanoid survives because it believes in its story. It is not ironic. It is not mocking. It wants to inspire wonder, even if it borrows familiar shapes to do so. That sincerity is rare, and it is why this film still matters. Number 11. Star Odyssey, 1979. Star Odyssey is what happens when imagination runs faster than resources. Made quickly to ride the Star Wars wave, it should have collapsed under its limitations. Instead, it became a cult curiosity. The plot centers on Earth being claimed by a galactic power, forcing a mismatched group of defenders to stand against overwhelming odds. The ideas are big, the execution is rough, and somehow that combination works. Models were built from everyday materials, costumes were assembled from whatever was available. Dialogue sometimes feels spontaneous, but beneath the chaos lies a genuine sense of urgency and rebellion. Audiences at the time laughed, critics dismissed it, but late-night viewers and collectors kept it alive. Over years of rediscovery, Star Odyssey gained appreciation for its ambition. It represents a moment when filmmakers believed passion could overcome polish. And sometimes it does. The film feels handmade, personal, and strangely alive. Star Odyssey may never look perfect, but it proves that space adventure is not only about money, it is about daring to dream beyond your limits. Number 10. The Black Hole, 1979. When Disney stepped into space cinema, nobody expected them to go this dark. The Black Hole was their bold response to Star Wars, but instead of rebels and optimism, it delivered silence, obsession, and unease. The story follows a research crew that encounters a massive ship drifting near a black hole, commanded by the brilliant yet unsettling Dr. Reinhardt. His dream is not escape or victory. It is transcendence. As the crew learns more, the film shifts from adventure into something colder and more philosophical. Production was enormous for its time. It became Disney's most expensive film to date, pushing visual effects forward with rotating sets and early computer-assisted imagery. Audiences expected excitement. What they got was tension and mystery. Critics were divided. Some admired its ambition. Others felt unsettled by its tone. The ending, abstract and haunting, confused viewers who wanted clear answers. But that is exactly why the film endured. Over the years, the black hole gained appreciation as a brave outlier. It treated space not as a playground, but as an unknowable force. It showed that science fiction could ask uncomfortable questions instead of offering easy victories. It was never meant to replace Star Wars. It was meant to challenge it. And in doing so, it carved a legacy that still feels bold. Number 9. Krull, 1983. Krull arrived with swords in one hand and stars in the other, refusing to choose between fantasy and science fiction. At the time, critics mocked its identity. Was it medieval myth or cosmic adventure? The answer was both. The story follows a young prince whose world is invaded by an alien force housed within a shifting fortress. To rescue his bride and save his planet, he must unite warriors, magic, and courage. The journey feels ancient, even as it unfolds beneath strange skies. Behind the scenes, Krull was a logistical nightmare. Sets collapsed, effects malfunctioned, schedules stretched. Yet the filmmakers kept pushing forward, crafting massive landscapes and unforgettable creatures. James Horner's sweeping score gave the film emotional weight, while the iconic bladed throwing star became a symbol of its bold imagination. Audiences were confused at first. The marketing could not explain what kind of movie it was. Over time, fans rediscovered Krull and embraced its ambition. It dared to blend genres when studios preferred formulas. It believed fantasy and space could coexist. Krull did not fail because it lacked vision. It failed because it was ahead of its comfort zone. Today, it stands as a reminder that risk is often misunderstood before it is admired. Number 8. Space Hunter Adventures. In the Forbidden Zone, 1983. Space Hunter feels like a dusty road movie set on a poisoned planet. Released during the height of space adventure mania, it chose grit over polish and survival over destiny. The story follows Wolf, a hardened guide hired to rescue stranded travelers from a dangerous wasteland ruled by a tyrant known as Overdog. What begins as a job slowly becomes a confrontation with his own past and conscience. Shot in early three-dimensional format, production was difficult and exhausting. Cameras broke, scenes were repeated, yet the result felt raw and immediate. The world looked hostile, damaged, and real. Unlike many space films of the era, Space Hunter did not glamorize its universe. Everything felt worn down. The people were tired. Hope existed, but only barely. That realism divided audiences. Some dismissed it as cheap, others found it refreshing. Over time, the film developed a cult following that appreciated its tone and practical effects. Performances grounded the story, giving emotional weight to its harsh setting. Space Hunter matters because it shows another side of space adventure. Not every galaxy is shiny. Not every hero is chosen. Some just survive. And that honesty gives the film lasting power. Number 7. Flash Gordon, 1980. Flash Gordon does not whisper its intentions. It shouts them in color, music, and spectacle. While Star Wars leaned into myth, Flash Gordon embraced pure pulp joy. The story is simple by design. A modern hero is thrown into a cosmic conflict where exaggerated villains and heroic poses rule the screen. Logic takes a back seat to energy. Behind the scenes, production chaos ruled. Sets crumbled, scripts changed daily, actors clashed with producers. Yet somehow the chaos translated into magic on screen. Queen's thunderous soundtrack transformed every scene into a celebration. The visuals exploded with color and confidence. Critics were harsh, calling it over the top. Audiences disagreed. Over time, Flash Gordon became iconic. Quoted endlessly, referenced everywhere. Its influence spread far beyond its box office performance. Flash Gordon worked because it understood one truth. Space adventure does not need restraint to be memorable. Sometimes excess becomes identity. It did not chase Star Wars quietly. It danced past it, laughing, glowing, and unforgettable. Number 6. Message from Space, 1978. Message from Space was Japan's loud, fearless response to Star Wars, and it did not try to hide its admiration. Instead, it transformed the formula through myth and honor. The story follows chosen warriors from different worlds, united by mysterious glowing seeds sent by a fallen princess. Each seed represents destiny, courage, and responsibility. The themes feel ancient, even as the visuals burst with futuristic energy. Directed by Kinji Fukasaku, the film blends samurai spirit with space opera. Ships move like warriors. Battles feel symbolic rather than tactical. Everything carries emotional weight. Production struggled under massive expectations. Special effects teams worked relentlessly to match international standards. Critics laughed at the similarities. Audiences embraced the heart. In Japan, it became a sensation. Internationally, it gained life through television and late-night screenings. Over time, fans recognized its sincerity. Message from Space proves imitation can be respectful. It did not steal Star Wars. It spoke back to it in a different language, and that conversation still resonates. Number 5. The Last Starfighter, 1984. The Last Starfighter tapped directly into a dream Star Wars planted deep in a generation's imagination. What if the galaxy was watching you right now, testing you without your knowledge? The story follows Alex Rogan, a small-town teenager who masters a video game only to learn it was never a game at all. It was a test. Suddenly, he is pulled from ordinary life into a massive interstellar conflict where skill matters more than heritage. What made this film stand out was its bold technical gamble. Instead of traditional models, it used early computer imagery to create space battles. At the time, this was considered risky and even foolish. Some theaters worried audiences would reject the look entirely. Critics were divided, but viewers connected with the heart of the story. This was not about destiny written in ancient texts. It was about earned confidence. Alex doubts himself constantly, making his journey feel personal and relatable. Over time, The Last Starfighter became beloved for its sincerity. It captured the feeling of being young and unseen, dreaming that greatness might still be possible. It did not copy Star Wars. It answered it. It said heroes are not born in secret temples. Sometimes they are standing in arcades, waiting to be noticed. Number 4. Saturn III, 1980. Saturn III is one of the strangest echoes of the Star Wars era. Instead of sweeping adventure, it offers isolation, tension, and quiet dread. Set on a distant research station near Saturn, the film follows two scientists living in solitude until a disturbed visitor arrives with a powerful artificial assistant. What unfolds is not a battle for the galaxy, but a psychological struggle within confined walls. The tone shocked audiences. Many expected excitement and spectacle. Instead, they found unease and slow building pressure. The film leaned closer to paranoia than heroism. Behind the scenes, production was turbulent. Creative clashes reshaped the final cut, and performances were altered after filming. The result felt fractured, but also deeply unsettling. At release, reactions were harsh. Over time, appreciation grew. Viewers began to see Saturn III as a bold experiment, refusing to follow the expected path. It showed that space stories did not always need scale. Sometimes fear feels bigger when the universe feels small. Saturn III dared to be uncomfortable, and that bravery gave it lasting impact. Number 3. Star Crash, 1978. Star Crash feels like a fever dream fueled by imagination and confidence. Made in Italy at breakneck speed, it chased the spirit of Star Wars without caring how strange the journey became. The story follows Stella Star, a fearless outlaw who teams up with allies to rescue a captured prince from a powerful count. Along the way, glowing swords, robots, and cosmic battles explode across painted starfields. The visuals are wild. Logic bends freely. Characters appear and vanish. Yet the film never apologizes. It commits fully to its fantasy. Production was chaotic. Budgets vanished. Scenes were cut and reshaped for different markets. Despite that, Star Crash refused to fade. Audiences did not know whether to laugh or cheer. Many did both. Over time, the film gained cult status because it dared to be joyful. It did not aim for perfection, it aimed for wonder. Star Crash survives because it reminds us that cinema is allowed to be strange. Sometimes imagination matters more than control, and that reckless energy still shines. Number 2. Battle Beyond the Stars, 1980. Battle Beyond the Stars is proof that creativity can thrive under pressure. Made with limited resources, it transformed constraint into identity. The story follows Shad, a young farmer who recruits warriors from across the universe to defend his peaceful world from a ruthless invader. The structure feels familiar, but the execution feels sincere. Behind the scenes, the film became a training ground for future legends. Young artists learned how to stretch every dollar, building ships and worlds from scraps and ambition. Critics dismissed it as imitation. Fans saw something else. They saw effort, heart, determination. The characters felt earnest. The universe felt hopeful. Over years of late-night broadcasts and home viewing, Battle Beyond the Stars found its audience. It was not grand, but it was passionate. It showed that Star Wars did more than inspire copies. It inspired creators. And sometimes that inspiration is enough to carry a story across decades. Number 1. Spaceballs, 1987. Spaceballs did the impossible. It mocked Star Wars while protecting its magic. Mel Brooks understood something crucial. You cannot parody something unless you love it. Spaceballs laughs loudly, but never cruelly. It celebrates imagination through humor. The story follows Lone Star and his loyal companion as they rescue a spirited princess from a hilariously overconfident villain. Every moment twists familiar ideas into playful exaggeration. Behind the scenes, Brooks earned approval directly from George Lucas with one major rule: no merchandise. Everything else was fair game. Audiences embraced it instantly. Quotes became legendary. Characters became icons. The jokes landed because the film treated its world seriously, even while bending it. Spaceballs matters because it proved imitation can evolve into tribute. It kept the spirit alive while reminding viewers not to take it too seriously. In laughing at the galaxy, it helped protect it. Star Wars may have lit the spark, but these films proved the fire spread in every direction. Some borrowed boldly, some twisted the formula, some surprised everyone by surviving the shadow. Now it's your turn. Which one deserves a second look? Drop your thoughts below, share the journey, and subscribe for more forgotten cinema stories still waiting to be rediscovered.